Good morning, and thank you for joining our webinar for the SmartPTT release for our version 9.4. Please note that this release and this webinar are applicable to SmartPTT Plus, which is available from Motorola, as well as SmartPTT Enterprise, which is available directly from SmartPTT. The main points of this webinar will cover enhancements to the hotkeys, our new SCADA module, voice recording enhancements, system monitoring, and location tracking. Relative to the hotkeys is a tool that enables a dispatcher to operate more quickly by reducing the number of mouse strokes or keystrokes. The following are a list of the functions that you can do with hotkeys. It could be, sending a text message, doing a call alert, and all these other functions. The only one additional I want to point out is the very last one, which is the radio D key. This is kind of like a transmit interrupt functionality, but it's only available when using control stations or the IP Site Connect 80K protocol, not the NI protocol. Now, some instances of hotkey use would be muting or unmuting, so you can have different buttons to mute and unmute different talk groups. You can highlight a subscriber and then press a key to query where their current location is. Or same thing, highlight a subscriber and press a button to initiate a call alert. Now, this is perhaps the most long-awaited feature, and that is our SCADA subsystem. We have a box called AdaptTel, and AdaptTel is a SCADA to DMR interface. So we're able to operate over DMR with our AdaptTel device, as well as other RTUs as well, or third-party SCADA software. Now, this is going to give you the ability to remotely monitor equipment in the field. So if there's ever an emergency, the dispatcher would be notified that a parameter has changed with that equipment that's now maybe taking it out of the normal operating range. Data visualization, as you can see in the screen, you have a very user-friendly interface. It's going to provide logical, meaningful information. You'll be able to see normal operating ranges in green, maybe have like kind of on the edge operation in an orange, and then critical operation in a red color. Now, when something does go marginal, you would be able to have SmartPTT automatically notify somebody that there is an issue. Now, some use cases of the SCADA module. Let's say there's an accident at a remote site, or maybe a piece of equipment is close to failure. Maybe it's starting to leak and your pressure is dropping. Well, you can remotely control a pump to maybe turn off the water to that pipeline. This would be a case where there's no one at that remote site, so the dispatcher is able to control the response. A second use case would be, again, when there's an emergency or like a marginal condition, you would be able to see on the map, well, who's close there? Can we send a technician out to go fix that? Also, if it was marginal and you needed to evacuate people, you would see who is around there to make sure that they evacuate properly. The next use case would be, instead of the dispatcher interfacing with this equipment, when something goes marginal, you would be able to automatically generate a text message to the responsible party. So if there's a particular engineer that you want to fix something, if that goes bad, or just send it to an entire talk group, you could do that with the rules and notifications. Next is our Eventide integration. So we have integrated our software to output voice and screen recordings to the Eventide NexLog software. The logs are going to be usable in a court of law, which is one of the main benefits of this, because the logs in SmartPTT are not admissible in a court of law. However, those in Eventide are. So we would now be able to use information from SmartPTT to feed that to Eventide. Now, we also have the ability, or with the Eventide integration, to have a centralized location for all voice recordings. So if you want to integrate your motor turbo system with SmartPTT, as well as the PA system and maybe a telephone system, all of that will come together with a centralized recording area in Eventide. Now, you would also be able to just have a single interface to manage all these different audio sources for incident investigation. As mentioned earlier, record sources can come from areas not part of SmartPTT with Eventide, and then you would be able to investigate the emergency from all these different audio sources. You would be able to see, what happened by grouping all those records together in an incident tab, and then you can add notes along that incident timeline to see what happened where. Now, the GPS batching, that we introduced in 9.3 with SmartPTT Enterprise, but it was not introduced in SmartPTT Plus. So with 9.4, it is now available in SmartPTT Plus as well. Now, this uses the GOB firmware, or the Sprite box from Talisman Wireless. When installed in the radio, it's able to provide more detailed GPS information to SmartPTT. So instead of seeing where they were right now, and then again 2 minutes later, you'll still get where they are now and where they are 2 minutes later, but you'll also get a breadcrumb trail of where they were during that 2-minute interval. So it's a lot finer detail. As you would see here, on the left is without the Talisman GOB, and on the right is with the GOB. Now, also, when using the Talisman GOB or Sprite box, it's collecting data while outside of the RF coverage range. So if you have a school bus that goes on a field trip, they leave the RF coverage area, you don't know where they went. You don't know if they were speeding. So with this, it's going to continue to collect, and when it comes back into the RF coverage area, it's going to start feeding that data at non-buzzing times. With the control stations, this is a new system monitoring feature. We now have the ability to monitor the RG1000 and connected control stations in the system topology. So this will tell you if there's absence of a connection between the RG1000, the control station, and the radio server, whether or not calls can be performed, and whether or not there's a higher level of missed packets. We did some enhancements to our third-party devices. So we support the Plantronics 310 and 320. We also support the CXD gooseneck microphone. We enhanced the design of the web client. It's a more user-friendly interface now. And we also optimized the installation of the audio proxy. We are expecting in our next release to do even further enhancements. We do thank you for taking the time to learn more about SmartPTT and version 9.4. If you do have any questions, please contact us at sales@smartptt.com. Thank you very much.